Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Most Honorable Dr. Idris, Dr. Shahid, Dr. Suhail, Dr. Kesar, and Dr. Ishtiaq, Dr. Amir, Dr. Zahir, और आपका मुझे नाम नहीं आता, Dr. Sabir, and all the young ladies and gentlemen and the students who are present here today, a very good morning and assalamu alaikum to all our online participants as well. It is a cold and cloudy day here in Islamabad. And normally we have very sunny and bright days. We are really lucky to have escaped the effects of climate change. But sometimes, as you all know, we also get a haze. And our biggest province, Punjab of Pakistan, is facing a lot of difficulties. We all know that if we have to travel to Lahore, Sialkot, Gujarat, all those areas, we have a very small window of opportunity. We have to cross that Sukeki and that portion between 11:30 and 4. And when we are traveling on that road in the summers, we see that the farmers are burning the crops which are already planted there. And we also see that our factories are emitting a lot of toxic waste, a lot of pollutants which have not been filtered as they should to ensure that humans do not get affected by them. We are all aware of the leather tannery sector's effects, where even carcinogenic waste has rendered whole families are crippled, whole families are suffering from disease. So it is extremely important, and I congratulate Dr. Suhail, Dr. Mazhar and his team for having organized this very important workshop. And I think Quaid-e-Azam University, as the trailblazer, needs to organize these workshops more frequently because we all know that we've been hit by the worst floods anywhere in the world, which are a consequence of climate change. The glaciers are melting in the north, and we have not been following rules. So the young students here today, the faculty, the senior management, I will request them to come up with codes, to come up with ideas on how to raise awareness and how to make sure that people do not live in those areas where even if after 20 years we think it's going to flood, or it may flood again next year. So it is very important that we allow them to cultivate those areas, but not to live there with their families. So these are simple rules and laws which we need to implement, and we need to raise the awareness of our people. So I will be dwelling on 2-3 quick points with reference to this, to the climate change conference, and those are that, like the Honorable Chair, he said we have to adapt. So we have to adapt, and we have to, the students can, after this, we can organize an exclusive seminar on post-flood changes which Pakistan needs to, adapt to. For instance, when I was a child, we used to have tube tires. Now we have tubeless tires. And those tubes, the youngsters used to be playing around with them and jumping in the ponds. So it used to, if we had even those tubes in our houses or torches, or we could encourage our industry to produce the same inflatable jackets which we find in the seats in the planes. So each household who are living in KP and Sindh and in Punjab, in the areas which have the threat of inundation, they should be keeping those kits, a torch, a jacket, because the first and foremost thing is we need to save lives. The second things now we need to adapt to is in the context of agriculture, because we have all been, we are all privy to the fact that people in Karachi and other areas, they are having to pay a heavy price for a bag of flour, which is, this price is skyrocketing. So it's incumbent on us to come up with alternate staple diet, staple food, at least in this period. This period is around 9 months to a year till we can sow the next wheat crop. So I would urge you to come up and record small video messages in which you can encourage the students. I was in Japan the other day. I was sharing it at HEC or here, I think with someone. So a person was going home, and he was a well-to-do person, and he was only carrying a potato which was this size, and it was wrapped in cellophane. And he said, "This is my dinner." They just boil the potato and eat it. So many of us, including myself, we are overweight, and we need to be more caring and eat less, so that, the spared food, it'll bring the price of wheat down, and we will be able to perform better as well. So this morning, my diet was without any, I did take a bit of bread, but my main meal was just cucumber, a piece of cucumber, a piece of carrot, some garlic, and a little bit of onion and yogurt, and so it was just veggies. So if you just eat those instead of bread one time, you are healthier, because the vegetables are really good for health. So in the West, they promote salads a lot. So we can try and change our lifestyle. These are just off-the-cuff ideas. I'm sure the young men and the young ladies sitting here can come up with much better ideas, which you can record on videos and make them viral in the country. And there is a way in which you can cultivate vegetables without putting them in soil. Uska kya naam hota hai? Hydroponics. So hydroponics, I'm sure you all must be knowing about it. So we need to make our housewives so conscious of it, so that they can, while sitting at home, they can grow their own vegetables. So these are the direct effects of climate change. So a flood came, but it disrupted the lives of so many who are still living in tents, and the entire food chain in Pakistan, the prices have gone up. So we have to mitigate those effects by becoming innovative, adapting to change, and turning it into a win-win-win situation. Because if you start, going towards vegetables and making them yourself, they will be without all those chemicals. They will be healthy for you. They will be organic. So now I'll come to the last part of this short speech, because, the Honorable Minister has given us time at 11 o'clock. So I will be taking with me Dr. Idris, Dr. Shahid, Dr. Kaisar, Dr. Suhail, but you will have to diligently follow up on this conference, make full use of it, and ensure that we are able to help our own countrymen and women and turn it into a watershed in our history, so that we learn to stand on our own feet, manufacture our own oil, come up with our own food, stop importing things, and in the process create jobs, make money, right? So the last thing I said, I'll end on this is, and I spoke to Suhail Saab, Dr. Suhail yesterday, Dr. Suhail Yusuf, and he said, share it tomorrow in the meeting. Okay, so this is something very interesting. You all must have seen Bari Imam, and you all must have seen the streams around us and all the people who live there. So we should make it our aim, Qadians should make it their aim, that in the next decade they see a change there, from Bari Imam Kachi Abadi to Bari Imam Model Town. And you only have to think about it. And I've requested Dr. Suhail, Dr. Idris, and Dr. Shahid that in their undergrad research work, instead of focusing on theoretical subjects where the research just goes and sits on a shelf and is of no use to anyone except that we get our degree. So we should actually focus it on, just a girl or a boy, for instance, in the psychology department, they just have to visit 3-4 houses and talk to the women, the children, find out what are the issues facing them. And you won't believe it that you'd be able to help them out a lot on stress management, anger management, on how we could, start some classes for, their children in our spare time, right? So there are a lot of things we can do in a voluntary way. Community service, I've requested Honorable Dr. Sarwat, who's not here with us today because she was not feeling well, I've requested her to come up with a program in which the students should be given marks for welfare activities. Because in the West, somebody was telling me that, and I also know that community welfare is mandatory. So it is again a win-win situation. So I just want all of you once in 6 months to organize a drive and encourage the people there not to throw rubbish in the nalas. If they stop doing it, these will automatically change from nalas into, into the pristine water which people used to drink. And we will always also be paying homage to this saint, Hazrat Bari Imam, who's living in our vicinity, and you have a whole project of a Kachi Abadi in your backyard. So I don't want, I'm all the time I'm telling people don't feel bogged down, but do a little bit. Even a little bit counts a lot. So every child should make an effort. They can say, okay, my undergrad research paper will be on some ideas on how to actually look at the kind of waste being produced in Bari Imam and how it can be checked. How we can turn it into, materials through which we can construct their houses, their homes for them. So there are a host of other ideas, but I see it's 10:37 now, 10:38. And the Honorable Minister won't like it if we are late. And students and teachers should always be very punctual, and so should the Vice Chancellor, Acting Vice Chancellor should also be very punctual. So I will beg leave, and I wish the conference very well, and I would once again like to compliment Dr. Suhail, Dr. Mazhar, and the team who've put this event together. And it's a very important event, and please listen to everyone carefully, come up with your own thoughts, and put them into action. Thank you very much.